This is huge. After months of intense diplomacy, the United States and Iran have just concluded final negotiations on a Strait of Hormuz security agreement. The deal was signed today in Vienna, marking a stunning breakthrough in relations between the two nations. This narrow waterway carries nearly one-third of the world's seaborne oil, making it one of the most strategically vital shipping lanes on the planet. For years, tensions have threatened to close this critical choke point. Not anymore. This agreement changes everything. Let's talk about why this matters so much. The Strait of Hormuz is only 21 miles wide at its narrowest point. Think about that, the entire global energy market depends on this tiny passage between Iran and Oman. Every single day, approximately 21 million barrels of oil pass through these waters. That's massive. Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Kuwait, and Iraq all rely on this route to export their oil. When tensions flare here, oil prices spike worldwide. Gas gets more expensive. Economies tremble. This agreement stabilizes the artery of global energy. The path to this deal wasn't easy. Over the past 5 years, the strait has been a flashpoint for confrontation. Iranian forces seized tankers. The U.S. deployed additional naval assets. Drone attacks targeted vessels. Insurance premiums for shipping companies skyrocketed as the risk of conflict loomed. Every incident sent shockwaves through energy markets. Analysts warned that a single miscalculation could spark a wider regional war. The stakes couldn't have been higher, and both sides knew it. That's what makes today's breakthrough so remarkable. The data tells the story of just how critical this agreement is for the world economy. We're talking about protecting an absolutely staggering volume of trade and energy flow. These numbers represent real economic security for billions of people across the globe. The financial impact of instability here ripples everywhere, from gas stations in Texas to factories in Tokyo. This deal protects all of that. So what's actually in this agreement? It's brilliant in its structure. Both nations commit to freedom of navigation through the strait. No harassment of commercial vessels. No military interference with civilian shipping. There's a joint monitoring mechanism. Imagine that, U.S. and Iranian officials working together to oversee compliance and address incidents before they escalate. Insurance companies are already celebrating because this dramatically reduces maritime risk. Energy analysts predict this will stabilize oil prices in the medium term. The framework prioritizes de-escalation and communication over confrontation. Credit where it's due, this took extraordinary diplomatic skill. The U.S. negotiating team was led by the State Department's special envoy for Iran, working around the clock for months. On the Iranian side, senior officials from both the Foreign Ministry and the Revolutionary Guard participated. That's significant because it shows buy-in across Iran's power structure. European mediators from France and Germany played crucial facilitating roles. Oman, which controls the southern shore of the strait, also contributed expertise. These negotiators faced enormous pressure and skepticism, but they persevered and delivered. The U.S. State Department released a statement celebrating the agreement. Here's what they said, and you can hear the relief and pride in these words. This represents a massive diplomatic win for all parties involved, and officials aren't shy about saying so. The world is responding, and the reaction is overwhelmingly positive. Saudi Arabia and the UAE, whose economies depend entirely on Hormuz access, issued statements welcoming the deal. Energy markets reacted immediately. Oil futures dropped 3% on the news as traders priced in reduced geopolitical risk. That's real money. The European Union called it a model for conflict resolution. Even skeptics acknowledge this is a genuine achievement. Japan and South Korea, major oil importers, expressed strong support. China praised both sides for choosing dialogue over confrontation. This is the kind of diplomacy that makes the world safer and more prosperous. Implementation starts immediately, and that's exciting. Within 30 days, the joint monitoring mechanism becomes operational. Both navies will establish direct communication channels to prevent misunderstandings. Commercial shipping companies receive detailed guidance on the new protocols. There's a 90-day review period to assess compliance and address any friction points. Analysts believe this agreement could serve as a template for resolving other maritime disputes worldwide. The South China Sea, anyone? This shows that even adversaries can find common ground when vital interests align. The Strait of Hormuz just became significantly safer, and the whole world benefits from that reality.